Hey losers, I'm Coral. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here today with a book haul. These are books that I have acquired throughout February. Let's see where to start. I guess I will start with two books I bought that I have read previously but did not own copies of. First one here, An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. And actually, okay, this is a Carmilla retelling, sort of. And I actually have two of those this month, coincidentally. So I really loved this book. Not quite as much as A Dowry of Blood, but it's like gorgeous and gothic, and it takes place in the 60s, I believe. It's just beautiful. Then another book that I read and did not have a copy of but really enjoyed is The Night Guest by Hildur Knutsdottir. This is about a woman in Reykjavik. She is waking up just like totally exhausted, sometimes having like small injuries, bruises, abrasions, stuff like that, after getting a like step counter type of watch, right? Like a smartwatch. She accidentally wears it to bed one night and wakes up and sees that she has walked 40,000 steps in the night. And she's like, what in the heck? And then after this realization that she's doing something she doesn't know about in the night, things start to get super weird. So excellent story. I've also got the January Evernight book. It didn't quite make it in time for my book haul last month, but the book that came in this last package is Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. I think in the United States this is called Bat Eater, and other names for Cora Jung. I love this cover. It's so creepy. The page edges are bats, as you can see. Also some bats on here. Oh my god, just an all-around beautiful book. Here's the dust jacket on the inside. The hardcover, oh my god, it's so gorgeous. I am really so pleased with all of the Evernight books I've gotten so far. Really, a subscription I feel like is worth the money. I've canceled all my other book subscriptions except for this. So in this story, we're following a young woman named Cora who is a crime scene cleaner. She at one point sees her sister get pushed in front of like a subway, I believe. And the person who does it, she hears them call her sister a bat eater, which I'm assuming is some sort of slur almost, you know, a derogatory term. Throughout this book, there are Asian women being killed, and Cora was gonna get to the bottom of it, I guess. I'm really excited to read this one. It sounds really good, and I've actually heard really good things. I remember when before it came out, a lot of people reading like early copies of it and saying that it was really good. So I'm really interested in how much her occupation will play into this story, because crime scene cleanup is interesting and I'd love to read more about that. Okay, then I got a couple used books this month. I picked up Monstrous Futures, which is in the same line as Human Monsters, which I really enjoyed. This has a different editor, and this one is more like futuristic sci-fi horror. I love sci-fi horror, and I'm always looking for really good sci-fi horror, and it is kind of a broad subgenre, but yet, or like a more well-known subgenre, but I still feel like I don't find like a ton of sci-fi horror books out there. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. And then I picked up This Is Where We Talk Things Out by Caitlin Marceau. This is one I've wanted to get my hands on for a while. I found a good copy on Pango, and this is a story about a mother and a daughter, two adults, dealing with some trauma. And this all takes place in an isolated cabin. And what more could you ask for? Then a nonfiction book. I really wish I could remember where I heard about this, because I know I didn't come across this like on my own. But this is called The Other Side of Desire by Daniel Bergner. And I really wish I could remember the context in which I heard about this. But this is a nonfiction book where the author is exploring a couple people who have like, well, one seems like flat out taboo, and the other ones, I don't know, I guess we could call them all kind of taboo, but one of them is definitely illegal. The other ones are just different sort of things, but it says, how do we come to be who we are sexually? How do we cope with the forces of desire? How can we understand the relationship between the transcendent and the physical, between the wish for love and the anarchy of the erotic? So this looks at the stories of 4 different people who have a different sort of desire than a typical person. Then it seems like he looks at it and he doesn't only share their stories, but he also maybe analyzes it as well. So I thought that that sounded really good. Then I got a couple middle grade YA teen horror books. This one is Goosebumps number 38. This is The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena. This is one that I did read when I was a kid. And it's so funny because the kids in this story are from California and they're like, oh, we wish we could see snow. And then their father gets sent on a trip to go take pictures of a abominable snowman in Alaska, right? But it was the total opposite when I was a kid. I lived in Minnesota and I was like, oh my God, to live somewhere where it was just sunny all the time, I would love that. So that's kind of funny. And now I do live in California and it's too hot for me most of the time. I don't think I could have ever imagined when I was a kid living here. Although when I was a teenager, I talked about it a lot because of the medical marijuana. Oh, so funny. Anyway, next we have The Ripper by D.E. Atkins. I still don't think I've read any of her stuff yet, but I've got a couple of them. Oh, is that the only other one? Maybe I don't have a couple. I just have one other. But this, okay, it says, it all started out as a party, and then there was a game of hiding and seeking, a game of hunting and weeping. And before anyone knew what was happening, someone was killed. The game was over, and the only suspects they had were each other, unless there was someone else out there, someone who was still playing the game. Murders, but also, what's up with these fingernails? Because that's really what I want to know. They must have like a sheen to them, like they're metallic in this illustration. Okay, and then the last used book I got this month was Brass by Helen Walsh. This is about a young woman named Millie, college age, and she starts to go down a path where it's like, is this self-discovery or is this self-destruction? So I think things with like the BDSM scene, possibly mind-altering substances, things like that. And this takes place in England. That's all I know. It sounds good. Okay, and then I've got a couple new books here that I bought this month. First one, Tombs by Junji Ito. This is another one of his short story collections. This one has Slug Girl in it. I also found a copy of a book I've been wanting to read called Perfume and Pain by Anna Dorn. This is about a woman who gets canceled, right? And she's kind of down on her luck. She's not really sure what to do with her life, but then I don't know, famous person is like, hey, we want to adapt one of the things that you've written. And she's like, hell yeah. But then she also goes into some self-destructive behaviors. It says, her bad behavior just got worse. Smart and sexy, laugh out loud, funny page turner. So I think it's supposed to be kind of cheeky. And I love a fictional lady being self-destructive. I really do. I also picked up Father of Lies by Brian Evenson. This is about somebody involved in organized religion who, it says he may be a sexual criminal, but also I believe that the church that he's involved with, or institution, I suppose it says in the back, has prior knowledge of these acts he may have committed and has gone through lengths to protect him from any legal action. I can't wait to read this. And then I've got 2 new releases here. The first one is Beta Vulgaris by Margie Sarsfield. This is on my most anticipated list. This is about a woman and her boyfriend, Elise and Tom. They move to Minnesota, which is where I grew up, and I was so excited when I saw that this takes place in Minnesota. And they're going to work for a beet farm, which Minnesota has a lot of agriculture, but I've never heard of a beet farm before. So I'm sure they're out there, but it's not like a cornfield or soybeans, you know, where those are like everywhere. Weird things start to happen once they're working there. People are going missing. There's an ominous voice coming from the beet pile, and what is going on? I don't know, but one of the easily the best covers I've seen on a book coming out this year. Beautiful. I love it so much. And then the second one, I can't remember if this made it to my list that I filmed where I talked about books this year, or if this was like a runner-up that just didn't get put on, because a lot of the months, there were some months where there was just so many to choose from. I really had to narrow it down so that my video wasn't 2 hours long, because it could have easily been. But this is Hungerstone by Kat Dunn, and this is another Carmilla, I don't know, something inspired by Carmilla, I guess. I don't think it's necessarily a retelling or a reimagining, but Carmilla does make an appearance in this. This is about a woman named Lenore, and she's married to her husband, and things in their relationship have gotten a little lackluster, and she really doesn't want it to be that way. But then Carmilla shows up, and she's really torn between feeling some sort of attraction to Carmilla and also wanting to rekindle her relationship with her husband. So sounds like a great gothic horror romance. Horror romance, maybe. I mean, if it's Carmilla, there's got to be a horror romance in it, right? So those are the books I ended up buying in February. I'd love to know if you've read any of these, if you have any thoughts on them. I'd love to know if there's anything you are really excited to get your hands on this month. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later. Goodbye.